11:55, and all the employees grabbed their belongings and walked out of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. Some of the employees stopped to look at a sign on the door that read, "Soon to return to Freddy's. Foxy the Pirate and his companion Vixie. Sail the 7 seas with 2 great pirates. Arg!" There was a picture of Foxy, repaired and remodeled, standing at the front of his ship, with his hook held high in the air, smiling in triumph, and a vixen was behind him, smiling, and had her hand and hook behind her back. The employees stared at the sign for a good 3 minutes, shocked but a bit curious. Ugh. Mr. Fazbear, the owner of the pizzeria, walked out and saw them staring at the sign. He smiled and went over to the small audience. "Isn't it exciting?" asked Mr. Fazbear. "Foxy's coming back along with another fox." He nudged a male employee. "A female fox." "Sounds great, sir," said the male employee nervously. You sure Foxy won't malfunction again?" "Don't worry, we've fixed all the things wrong with Foxy," said Mr. Fazbear. "We're still working on him, actually. The engineers offered to stay overnight so that they can finish Foxy up faster." As they were talking, Mike drove up the parking lot, and parked in front of the pizza place. Mr. Fazbear saw him and went over to greet him. "Mikey boy, glad to see you," Mr. Fazbear, shaking his hands. "Well, glad to see you again." Wait, wrong person. Fuck! Redo! Alright. "Well, glad to see you again. You were fired a while back, and now look, you're back." "Glad to be back, sir," said Mike as he saw the sign on the door. "What's this, sir?" "Ah, we're bringing old Foxy back," said Mr. Fazbear. "And he has a new companion who should be arriving here tonight. She is being transported here." Mr. Fazbear looked at his watch. "Yeah, she should be getting here any minute now." The employees looked at their watches or phones and saw that it was 12:01. Staring at it for about 10 minutes now. They all suddenly rushed to their cars and drove off. Mr. Fazbear stayed there with Mike. Mike twiddled his thumbs, knowing that he would have to go to his office as the animatronics were wandering around. The animatronics haven't been as aggressive to him for the past couple of months. They still scared him to death, but now it's just for fun. They learned that he was human after he began to show them proof, but Mike was still scared. Mr. Fazbear patted his back. Why? Why do I have to read this? Fuck, that's scary. "You don't have to worry about being alone tonight," said Mr. Fazbear. "The engineers are staying here to fix Foxy so you have company." Thanks, sir," said Mike as he walked into the pizza place. "Have a good night, sir." "You too, buddy," said Mr. Fazbear. "I'll wait here for Vixie, Foxy's partner." "Alright, sir," said Mike. "See you around." And with that, Mike went to his office, but he stopped to look at the new Foxy. The animatronics were surrounding the engineers as they work on Foxy. They all looked at Mike as he walked in and pointed at Foxy. Mike mouthed, "I know," and walked towards Pirate Cove. An engineer saw him and waved. "You the night guard here?" asked the engineer. "Yeah," Mike said. "That's me. How's he looking?" "Looking pretty good," said the engineer as he finished putting his jaw back in place. "These are interesting animatronics. They just got off the stage and went over here to watch." Yeah, they are special to this place, said Mike. They are very interesting animatronics. Freddy looked at Mike and gave him a friendly punch in the arm, making him move a good 3 feet. Mike looked at him and gave him a blank stare. They both looked back at Foxy. The engineers put a chip in back of Foxy's head and a glowing gold sphere in his chest. They closed his head and chest, and they all watched as he powered back up. His eyes were bright gold, and he sat up. He felt around his body and didn't feel any tears or metal being shown. He smiled and stood up on his 2 back legs and stretched. Chica watched in dreamily as he stood up tall and proud. She always liked him, but now she's in love. Bonnie saw her and couldn't help but smile. Freddy saw her. He as well as just rolled his eyes. Freddy looked at his hand that weren't just a metal claw anymore. Foxy looked at his hand that weren't just a metal claw no more. He actually had fur over his hand, and he looked at his hook and swung it around. The engineers were moving away, dodging the swings. Foxy stopped. He turned around to see most of the beautiful thing ever. He had a wide smile across his face. His whole ship was repainted and remodeled, and the walls were repainted and remodeled as well. He stood at the end of his ship and let out a triumphant "Arrgh!" Chica, Bonnie, and Freddy stared at him and gave small applause. They were smiling at his childish attitude. Foxy noticed them and smiled. He jumped down and went over to them and stood in front of the 3. They all stared at him. "Aye, what do you think, lads?" Foxy happily spinning so they could see all of him. "How do I look? Not so bad, right?" They all laughed and went over to admire him. Chica was the first one to Foxy's side. She got closer to him and smiled. She hugged him and laughed. "You look great, Foxy," shouted Chica. "I'm glad to have you back." Bonnie joined the hug and smiled. "You do look good, Foxy," said Bonnie, "but still not as good as me." Foxy just smiled and rolled his eyes. Freddy came up to him and put a hat on his head. It was a hat similar to Freddy's hat. "Now, what do you think?" Freddy asked Bonnie. "Does he look better now?" No," said Bonnie, smiling. "A hat won't make you guys look any better." Freddy stared at her. At her? Took his hat off and dusted it off. "Okay, whatever you say," said Freddy, putting his hat back on. The engineers packed all their tools and got ready to leave. It was 1:15. "Yep, they are interesting animatronics," said one of the engineers. "Being able to move and talk freely." "Yeah, they are cool guys," said Mike. "Can be scary at times, but cool." "Hey guys, Vixie should be coming now," said an engineer to his co-workers. "Let's go get her and set her up." Foxy and the others looked at them confused. They were all about to ask, "Who's Vixie?" But Mike spoke up before they did. "Vixie is your new companion, Foxy. Hoo-hoo," said Mike. "She's outside right now. She'll be your new partner." Bonnie and Freddy looked at Foxy wide-eyed. "Another one of you?" said Freddy. "That's great, Foxy. You have a new crewmate." "Yeah, I know," said Foxy in a regular voice instead of a pirate accent. "Another fox. A vixen. Oh my gosh, a vixen!" Foxy held his head in fear and excitement. The end of first chapter.